Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Super Lunch First Podcast, episode number 101. I am Brendan. All right, today we're going to talk about UFC Fight Night, Makhachev versus Green. UFC Vegas 49 is also what it's called. We're going to go over that, go over the fights on that card, and talk about the future of Makhachev and maybe Green's future as well as some up-and-comers on the card. There are some decent prospects on this card as well. So before we get started, I'm just going to carry over the giveaway from last week because we didn't reach it, so that's fine. If this video gets 100 likes, I will be picking a subscriber and getting them their favorite fighter's shirt. Like, we'll talk about it afterwards. You let me know which one you want, and we'll go find it for you. So, and I'll have it sent to you. So the only rule is this thing needs 100 likes, and you must be subscribed and follow me on Twitter, bros_lunch. So, with all that out of the way, let's talk about some fights. Oh, also, down below, please like and subscribe. That obviously, but no, down below, I've been doing this for the last couple of weeks. Everything's timestamped, so if you're more interested in one particular fight, if you look in the description, you can click the timestamp of the fight that you're interested in, and it should take you right there. So that's a little helpful. Also, if you just want to listen to this will be up on Spotify and or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to watch it and you're just listening to this on wherever you're listening to the podcast from, it's on YouTube. So there you go. Anyway, let's talk about Makhachev versus Green. Holy crap, man. What is Makhachev's ceiling? What does he do next from here? Where does he go, you know? I think the right answer is the title shot. I mean, he got the finish here at what? Was it 3 minutes and 23 seconds? Yep. Yeah, so at the 3:30 mark, he got into he worked his way in, got into a clinch, and got the takedown at 3:10. There was not a ton of damage that he unleashed here. I mean, let's pull it up, but he wasn't really unloading a lot of damage or anything. You know, he only landed 14 significant strikes, total strikes 30, but it doesn't matter. You know, he had his back. Green wasn't defending. It doesn't matter if the shots are fight-ending shots or not. That's how that works. You're not intelligently defending yourself, the fight gets called. So he gets a TKO victory here, which puts him on a four-fight win streak as well as finishing. No, he's on more than a four-fight win streak, but four-fight finish streak. And, you know, he was supposed to be fighting Beneil Dariush, who is much higher ranked. Actually, is ranked, period. Dariush is number 3, yeah. So he was supposed to fight number 3. It's not his fault that Beneil Dariush fell out, and he had to fight an unranked opponent. So, therefore, I think he should go in. And if you look at his record here, you know, Bobby Green, very good. Also, in this fight, Bobby Green just was not throwing out as much offense as he usually does. His output was way lower. You can see he only threw 9 significant strikes, or only landed 9 significant strikes, and he didn't throw very much at all anyway. It was just he stepped up on short notice, and I think he should be commended for that. You know, this loss isn't going to count against him very much. I think he just hops right back on the horse, maybe even gets ranked. No. Well, it shouldn't get ranked. What I mean is maybe fights a ranked opponent, and another ranked opponent, you know, he basically threw the UFC a bone here, so now they throw one back. You know, he saved the card for him, or saved the main event, and got Islam a fight, and now he, you know, in return should be rewarded with another ranked opponent, so he can jump back in the rankings. So, you know, and before this, it was Dan Hooker, I think also on relatively short notice. That was a short notice fight for Dan Hooker. He stepped up. Thiago Moises, that was a good fight, good win for him. Obviously more competitive, went on longer, went to the 4th round. And Drew Dober was a good win for him as well, and that was a real fight. So those are all from 2021. He's, you know, a 3-fight finish streak coming into this fight, getting the TKO finish in the first round pretty impressively. I don't see why you wouldn't give him a title shot against the winner of Oliveira versus Gaethje. So, you know, what is his ceiling out there? Do you guys think do you think he's better than Khabib? Because I see things in his game that are much better than Khabib's. His striking is much more polished. You know, he's more aware on the feet than Khabib ever was. Khabib's striking was never good. I don't want to hear about the one time he knocked Conor down. Yeah, okay. I mean, he can land a punch, and I'm sure in practice he has fine fundamentals. But when you watch him fight, it's clunky, it's awkward, but it didn't have to be good because his pressure was so dominating. He had a good chin, so he could take a couple shots on the way in. And once he got a hold of you, you weren't going anywhere, and he was going to finish you. Much of the time that's what happened. Or he's just going to ground and pound you and make it a really boring fight and make you want to quit. So this is a little bit different. Islam is much more refined, much more polished. I don't know if he's necessarily stronger or faster. If you look at the grappling situations, it's hard to tell if he's better than Khabib at grappling. It doesn't, just from the onset of how he's dealt with opponents in the past and the caliber of opponents he's been fighting and what he's been able to do to them / not been able to do to them, as opposed to what Khabib was kind of able to do to those people. I think it's pretty close. Khabib didn't always just impress his will on other people. And yes, he never had a recorded loss in the UFC, even though he should have lost, not the Gleison Tebow fight, but the Gleison Tebow fight. Go back and watch it. I've mentioned it a couple of times. It was not a good fight. Gleison Tebow should have got that win. It's just, and Islam does have a loss in the UFC via TKO. So, shit happens. People lose. It's not the end of the world. Islam looks freaking amazing. He really does. He's got a dominant, crushing top game, just like Khabib did, and everybody wants to talk about how, look how he finishes submissions. Yeah, he's very good. Okay. I don't know how that fight would go. Here's the other thing, because if Gaethje beats Oliveira, which I know some people think is ridiculous, but it's Justin Gaethje, guys, and Oliveira is Oliveira. Oliveira's probably gonna get cracked, and Gaethje can get the finish. Like, for those of you out there who think that can't happen, you're living in, like, La La Land. Now, you may have an argument as to why that is less likely to happen, or why certain events might transpire based off of their last couple of fights and how their fights have differentiated going forward, what they've learned from each fight, and how they've advanced in the past few wins that they've had. That's fine. We can have a discussion. You can have a nuanced opinion. But to outright say Gaethje has no chance, I mean, he had a chance against Khabib. Okay? He did. And there were people out there saying he has no chance. I mean, he did. And he has a chance against Oliveira. Absolutely he does. Styles make fights, because could Oliveira beat Islam, or have a greater chance of beating Islam than, I keep saying Islam, Makhachev. I mean, Islam is his first name, but I don't know. I feel like this video's going to get flagged for me saying the name of a religion constantly over and over. So anyway, Makhachev versus Oliveira, right? Styles make fights. We've heard that discussion before. We've heard, that motto, that MMA truism, right? It just always is. Styles make fights. So, on any given night, based off of their styles, they have advantages over their opponent and disadvantages. Does Oliveira's advantages outweigh Gaethje's advantages against Islam? I would argue that they do, because he's more adept at ground fighting and he's less reliant on keeping it standing. And he's also a good striker. Oliveira is a very good fighter. In the past, I have not downplayed his victories necessarily, but I have been critical of the admiration for the win streak over less than stellar opponents. Okay, not that a win streak is anything to dismiss in general. Obviously, any win streak in the UFC is usually impressive. Okay, but judging by the strength of schedule compared to his contemporaries, to his peers, I didn't feel like his title shot was warranted or whatever, right? But they're at least being somewhat consistent, because Beneil Dariush is on the same trajectory as Charles Oliveira was. He's on the exact same trajectory, and he's going to be, this was supposed to be a title eliminator. If Beneil Dariush won this fight, he's going to fight a title. So that's the other thing. Does Dariush have a better chance of beating Islam than Gaethje does? I would argue that he does. That's the thing, is these styles, with Dariush being an adept grappler, but also like a very, very good grappler, but a crazy striker who's willing to stay in the pocket. Okay, he does, kind of see red, I guess you could say it, but sometimes if he gets cracked, he goes into brawl mode, and that's bit him in the ass before. He's lost by knockout a few times. I mean, freaking Edson Barbosa sent him to hell with a freaking with the flying knee. But Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje are have similar base styles, so wrestle boxers, right? Obviously, they have much different stats as far as power, aggression, fight style, those kinds of things, but their base is very similar. And I would argue that Islam has the same advantages over Michael Chandler as he does with Justin Gaethje, although I think Chandler is more explosive early on, so he has the what is that? I wouldn't call it the shock factor, but more like the randomness factor, right? Like anything can happen in a fight, and the more variables you throw in there, the more outcomes that can happen. So I think he has a good chance. I think Rafael dos Anjos probably gets smoked. He's shown in the past to be very weak to strong offensive grapplers. It's been his downfall many times, and he also got ragdolled by Khabib when they fought in the past. So if Khabib did it, I would argue that Islam's probably going to be able to do it, especially because this Rafael dos Anjos isn't as... I don't know if... Well, that's the thing, is he wasn't as good then as when he was in his prime. So I would still say Islam has a huge advantage. Now, Tony Ferguson, that's an interesting matchup. Gregor Gillespie's been calling for that fight. I think his wrestling is a different type of wrestling than, Michael Chandler's base. Because Gillespie's, one of those Colby Covington, early Kamaru Usman type fighters where he's just pressure. And that's pretty much what Islam does. So, seeing them against each other, that would be really fun. Arman Tsarukyan has fought him already. Fiziev would be freaking amazing. I think that fight would be fun. I don't know how Fiziev would do, but as I'm saying, there's a lot of good matchups, but he passed all of them up. He got to jump the line, so we didn't get to see any of those on the way up. Similar to what we saw with Khabib, he got to kind of jump the line, and avoid a lot of those different stylistic challenges on the way up. Not saying that he wouldn't have beaten those people, but it would have been a lot more interesting. That's why all those questions, we had all those questions when he was champion. Same with Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor did the exact same thing. He does not get a pass in this conversation. Conor McGregor got to jump the line. He was exciting. He called his matchups, or he called his outcomes, the Mystic Mac era. Impressive wins by all measures, but he was only fighting people that were stylistically advantageous for himself. So by doing that, he effectively gets to jump the line and not have to take on any of these other fighters like Tony Ferguson. Who else was in there? Oh, in lightweight, it was everybody. But in featherweight, he got to jump the line and go take on Aldo. Gets the win. Like, do you think he would beat Aldo now? That's a good question. I mean, they're separated by 3 weight classes now. So there's just something that happens when a fighter gets to jump the line. So here's the difference. Like, we look at Kamaru Usman. Look at the respect he gets for being the champion in his division. And why is that? I would say a large part of that is the fact that he had to go up the hard way, right? He was taking on mainstays like Damian Maia, right? Taking on mainstays like Damian Maia. And yeah, he beat some people who aren't in the UFC anymore. But in the process, he also beat up people like, why am I drawing blanks on his past opponents? Because none of them are ranked anymore. I mean, he beat Leon Edwards. He already fought him. Has not fought him. He fought Jorge Masvidal as champion, so that doesn't count. Yeah, there's lots of new challenges there for him now that I think about it. Holy moly. Anyway, so when he was coming up, he had to fight a lot of different styles. Okay, he was fighting he fought some other wrestlers, and then by the time he got to the championship, when he was fighting Tyron Woodley, who is, known for his wrestling and strength or whatever, and he just dominated him. And then he's taken on wrestlers since then, and we have a really good picture of who Kamaru Usman is as a fighter and how he's improved each fight and, all those things. Same with, Glover, our current champions, like Glover Teixeira, Francis Ngannou. Like, we know what they're about. We know what they're doing. We know how they stand up to different styles, so we can make accurate, so we can know that, Kamaru Usman is the best welterweight in the world, and the only person close to him is Colby Covington, matchup-wise. Like, we can have a good guess. Like, he's probably he already beat Gilbert Burns once, but, Gilbert Burns does have a chance to win there, but he beats most of these people, and we just know that based off of his track record and his history. And we don't have to wait 8 months for him to set up another title shot and do all these things, and we don't have to wait until these guys fight and get their title eliminator and get to that championship challenger status. We don't have to wait for all those things because we already saw it on the way up. And that's what we didn't get to see with Khabib as much as we could have, right? Because he, like I said, jumped the line. Charles Oliveira did not jump any lines. Like I said, I don't like how, maybe I have said he jumped a line, but it's a different type because he's been in for so long and we've seen him fight everybody. So he has a long track record. So if you want to give him the veteran benefit, I'm okay with that. As to why that he jumped the queue. So with Islam here, really? Like, let's say he does get the title. He gets the title shot, obviously, from this fight. Let's say he wins the title. Are we in another Khabib situation? Or, hopefully better because maybe he defends the title more than 5 times or more than 4 times and he actually fights more often, which would be great. Or are we in a similar situation where, we're going to have a bunch of people killing themselves off in this division who would be a great great matchup for Islam, but we never got to see it, and we might never get to see it while Islam's champion. And that's what sucks. But that's what I want to see. I want to see him challenged. Like, that's what makes. Granted, if you're a title holder long enough, we get to see that. Like, if Khabib were champion for 8 title defenses, chances are we would have seen enough different styles and enough different people come up there to kind of quell all of the questions and all the arguments against his greatest status, okay? But we didn't get that. He only fought, I don't want to keep saying that, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have very many title defenses. And it's just, there's something different about the way, someone like Kamaru Usman did it. Even Israel Adesanya, who had like a meteoric rise up to the top and got the belt, we saw him take on multiple wrestlers on the way up there. Multiple. And he still did it. And he became champion. And now he's fighting everybody. He even went up a weight class. And that's what I'm hoping. Maybe that's what the biggest takeaway for me is on this. Like, I mean, let me know in the comments down below. Like, how do you feel about Islam being the possible champion? Are you excited for it? Are you kind of dismayed by it because it's Khabib 2.0 and you're just like, Khabib's reign was kind of boring because we didn't get to see him fight a lot of different people and he just quit. But for me, what I really want is someone who's like Charles Oliveira, who's willing to take on all challengers. Okay, someone like him who steps up and just takes on everybody. Okay, maybe he would be entertained. He would entertain going up a weight class. Not this whole inner weight class thing. I can take it or leave it. I'm not necessarily against it. I think it doesn't hold as much water as dominating your division does. So being a multiple division belt holder can add to your legacy, but I don't think it adds to your legacy more than defending your title for multiple years, because that takes one, a lot of effort, but two, a lot of focus and dedication to stay ahead of everybody who knows your game and knows what you're trying to do for years on end. Because once you're the champion, anybody who has championship aspirations, that's what they're looking to take down, that style. They know that eventually they're going to have to compete against that style. Whereas coming up, let's say you're in the rankings somewhere. Okay, let's say you're in the top 15 somewhere, right? If I'm a up-and-coming challenger, I might not necessarily be training for your stylistic matchup because I might not have to fight you. Now, that being said, we might end up getting matched up, and then I will most likely train for your style and, go through the normal training procedures and the training camp and all that stuff. But knowing that you're the champion years ahead of time, I for sure know that I'm going to have to at least take on that style at some point, at one time. So I'm going to throw that stuff in to my training all the time, regardless of who I'm trying to fight. Do you know what I mean? So that's why, what GSP did, what Anderson Silva did, hell, what John Jones did for the longest time. His difficulties outside the cage notwithstanding. These dominant champions who just stay on top for years, it's very difficult to do that against people always who know that you're coming, who know that you're there, who know that that's the challenge at the end of the tunnel, right? I know what the challenge is at the end of the tunnel. So all the other stuff along the way, I'm going to have to train for as I would. But I know at the end, I'm going to have to beat Islam, or I'm going to have to beat Khabib. Right now, I'm going to have to beat Charles Oliveira. So that's why I want, if Islam does become champion, I hope he's an active one. I hope we get some interesting matchups. I hope, a lot of these fighters are given title shots without, cannibalizing the division, because lightweight is one of the deepest and most skilled divisions in the UFC. At one point, I would argue that it was the most difficult and skilled division, but I think the lower weight classes have stepped up now. I think something like bantamweight or featherweight, it's just killers from top to bottom in the top 15. I'm not saying it's not in lightweight. It is as well, right? I think lightweight is at a historically deep point. It has been for years. I think featherweight and bantamweight are probably the two best divisions in the UFC. Men's, bantamweight, and featherweight. So, what do you guys want for Islam? Where do you think he goes? Like, what do you think his ceiling is? Do you think he's has greatest of all time potential? Like Khabib did have that potential, just never capitalized on it, never went through with it because he left too early. So what do you think? And let's draw it back to this fight, because I have pontificated much about generalities and things in the UFC. But let's bring it back to this fight, and let's talk about Green. What do you guys want to see for Green next? Because I have a feeling that Green's going to get somebody in the top 15 again, and I'm really hoping he does. But I'm hoping they don't give him a wrestler. It's just, guys, and that's the other thing. I don't take anything away from Green on this one. I think he's been excellent the past couple of years. I think he's really put things together. I don't know without the strong wrestling base and without the ability to deal with the wrestling, you're at a huge disadvantage in every division. Okay, minus heavyweight. But if you're not able to deal with that stuff, dude, it's going to be a rough road. So it would take a lot, I think, for him to become champion or even get to the title picture. I think a lot of things would have to fall into place for him. So as far as I'm concerned, I think Islam has one of the best. I think wrestling, freestyle folk, Sambo, which is, Greco-Roman. I think a lot of these grappling heavy, stand-up grappling heavy martial arts are probably the best base. That there have been some breakdowns in the past, and people have put up statistics, but they're kind of screwed up. Like they put down GSP as a wrestler, which technically I guess you could say that, but his base was karate. When they put champions by base. So, and also like it's just, if you just put champion number by base, that's kind of a misleading statistic because Anderson Silva was champion for like 5 years or 6 years. So that eliminates the possibility of different, ticks on that scale. So it should be title defenses by base, like by reported base. I wouldn't mind. I'm going to write that down. I might do that one. That sounds fun. Anyway, I think this fight was what we all expected. If any of you guys expected Bobby Green to go in there and knock him out, you're crazy. I mean, we could all want it, right? We can all want it. We could all be rooting for Green. I'm not saying I wasn't. Obviously, I was. Because he stepped up on short notice and he's just, he's going in there with nothing to lose. It's just fun to root for the guy. And because it's against such insurmountable odds, and we all knew this was going to happen. Like, in your mind, if you didn't have this going, I would say 95-5, right? 90-10 is gracious. But I had this way in favor of Islam, and I think it was easy money. It's just, there's one of those things where everybody knew what was going to happen. It happened, and then we're all done with it. So, like, it's less, I think it's less cool. It's less impressive because we expected it. Not that what he did wasn't physically impressive or, what he is as a fighter isn't impressive. It's that we all knew it was going to happen. So, like, it met our expectations instead of exceeded it. Let's put it that way. Anyway, what do you guys think happens next for Islam? I think it's title shot. I think, he probably gets the title. And then, I'm hoping he defends it for years. So let me know what you guys think. Next, Turman versus Cirkunov. So I noticed something. So Wellington Turman versus Misha Cirkunov. Cirkunov is formerly a light heavyweight, and he came down to middleweight here. This is his second fight at middleweight. His first fight at middleweight did not go as planned. But also, I noticed, like, the first thing I noticed is Cirkunov did not look like he did last time. He did not look as shredded. He didn't look as peeled to the bone. He didn't look like he was carrying around as much muscle. So it seems that Misha has changed his body composition, not in just like leaning out more, but also reducing the amount of muscle mass he's carrying around so he can compete at middleweight more effectively. It didn't work this time. The results didn't probably play out the way. No, I know they didn't play out the way they wanted to, but I think that his performance shouldn't be discounted here because, dude, he had a great first round. Turman got a standing backpack, and he was on his back at 4 minutes, and then Misha fought off a rear naked choke for quite some time, and then he dumped him at the 2-minute mark, landed some nasty ground and pound, and then he transitioned to a north-south choke, and he took the back for more ground and pound to finish the first round. So Misha Cirkunov easily took the first round 10-9, and we can see here on the striking numbers 23-4, and he had dominant position, and yeah, he was in a submission for a while, but there was no damage coming back at him. So taking that first round and what we saw in there, like, yes, I think going forward, Cirkunov has holes in his game. He always has, but I think he can take a lot away from this, and it can be successful going forward in this division. I don't know at the highest level if he's going to be able to, but hey, it is what it is. Because in the second round, he puts him in the clinch and then worked to a trip at the 3:45 mark, and then, dude, Turman just threw up his legs, grabs an armbar, and Misha tapped immediately. So, great win for him. Great submission win. The first round was competitive, right? It was close. It was back and forth. This round looked like it was going to go, probably competitive, and, Cirkunov seemed to have the advantage if you just graded off the first round. So, I was expecting Cirkunov to walk away with this one, but he just got caught, man. And that's the thing, is like, you can't just judge your work effort and your preparation just by the outcome. Obviously, that plays a huge factor, because if you don't get the victory, there are things in your training that could have maybe helped you out or whatever. But results-based training protocols, and, if you're looking at the statistics on how you should be training going forward, whether actively or passively, just thinking about them, like, oh, hey, I did a lot of cardio for this one and I won this fight. Just because those two happened, it might have led to things that helped you win that fight, but, you might have also lost that fight and the cardio still helped you. That's the thing, is like, you can't just judge by the outcome. You have to judge by the smaller outcome, not just the results of the end result of the fight, but the smaller outcomes, like every little situation. And I think if he looks back, Cirkunov did a lot of good work in this fight. And going forward, I think I still believe he could probably make it into the top 15 if he doesn't get cut. Oh shit, he's got 3 losses in a row: Ryan Spann, Jotko, and then Turman. He's on the hot seat. If he doesn't get cut, he's on the hot seat. Wow, holy moly! He's only had 2 wins in his past 8 fights. 2-6. Not good. Yeah, he might get cut. Forget all the stuff I said. Going forward, if in any other organization he fights in or whatever, I think there's a lot of good things to take away from this, but I don't know if he's going to be in the UFC after this week. All right. Priscilla Cachoeira versus Ji Young Kim. This fight was fun to watch. After the first... Oh, jeez. I didn't see who was judging it. We'll get to that in a second here. The first round, so Priscilla was looking to land a big right hand, and she was throwing a few of them and throwing like big slamming kicks. It was a pretty inactive fight until about the 3-minute mark, and then Priscilla landed a big left hand. Both women were swinging dirty. It was not the prettiest fight. At many points, this was not the prettiest fight. It was a, gritty, slugfest type of deal. And at the women fights, it speaks to the talent level, the depth of talent in the division, more than it does that these fighters don't. I don't know. I don't want to disparage them, because I think they're fine fighters, and I think they did a decent job, right? Like this is not something that you wouldn't see in like the males division. Obviously, we see shit like this all the time, but there's a certain, Kim had some better striking and more disciplined. Like she, Cachoeira got a takedown at the end of the round, but I gave her the first round, just because of the damage. And, she landed 18 to Kim's 31, but I think Kim's were less effective, right? I think the bigger shots were coming from Cachoeira, so I gave her the first round. But going forward here, so Kim was trying to outland her and point her, and Cachoeira kept throwing giant looping shots that missed, right? The second round, dude, Cachoeira threw, they both landed at about the same rate, 42% to 41%. And I bring this up all the time. I'm doing this as a direct comparison because of visuals, right? Cachoeira was throwing big looping missing shots. A lot of these missed shots from Kim are, distance measuring ones and parts of big combos where Cachoeira is just throwing these giant looping hooks that are kind of bullshit, to be honest. So Kim just looked like she had no power every time she landed, but she landed so much in that second round, and I don't think Cachoeira did that much more damage. So I gave the second round to Kim pretty easily. So I had them tied going into the third, and then the third starts with them throwing some sloppy bullshit. Kim landing some really hard shots, so that power that wasn't there in the second round now all of a sudden is there in the third, which was weird. And it might have just been cumulative, right, like Cachoeira, but also Priscilla kept walking forward into these big shots, and her nickname is Zombie Woman, so, right, Zombie Girl, sorry, Zombie Girl, so very accurate moniker. So she just kept walking forward into those, and Priscilla like throwing elbows, and like she busted Kim up, and that was at the very end of the round. Like this third round was 85 big like good shots from Kim to 52 from Cachoeira, and she just got outlanded like crazy in that third round. But there was like this point where it looked like Kim was rocking Cachoeira, and I think more of it was due to exhaustion on Priscilla's part. Either way, it doesn't matter. I gave the last round to Kim. The judges did not see it that way, which was weird. Yeah, usually Mike Bell is on the money. He is. Yeah, I think he was on the money last night. I thought he did a pretty good job. I don't agree with him in this one. And then also we got the dynamic duo over here, Sal D'Amato and Adelaide Bird. Worst judges ever. So yeah, guys, don't be surprised when you get bullshit decisions like this. It's just the way of the nature of the beast. It sucks. It's good that this fight didn't have title implications, and it's more of a smaller names, but it sucks for both of them, right? Especially when Kim rightfully should have won that fight. Stupid. All right. Arman Tsarukyan versus Joel Alvarez. So this fight was fun to watch because Tsarukyan is a beast. Dude, Tsarukyan was throwing low kicks and Alvarez was throwing high kick. Like when he threw a high kick and then Alvarez fell down, Arman got on top. So this all happened like in the beginning of the first round at around 4:15. So the first round was just Arman sitting on top of him with small ground and pound up until about the 30-second mark, and then Arman landed this giant elbow and caused like a crazy amount of blood. It was right here on the bridge of the nose, just a crazy amount of blood to come out of Alvarez. They could have stopped the fight because of the cut was so bad, but the cutman did a pretty good job closing it up and stopping most of the bleeding. Obviously, there was still blood coming out of it at the end of that round. I gave the first round a 10-8 just because of the utter domination. Nothing was coming back. I mean, it says 13-5, but if you look at the total strikes, there had to have been way more. Yeah, total strikes, not significant, but there was 93-27 in favor of Tsarukyan, and there were a few of those in the first round, and some of those big shots. I give him a 10-8. And then in the second round, Arman right to the takedown again to start the second round, got the side mount, landing Elmos. Elmo, think. So landing freaking elbows right to the nose again, and there was just so much freaking blood. Arman flipped over, Alvarez flipped over. Arman took the back and got the TKO. So, dude, Tsarukyan's a monster. He really is. He's the real deal. Oh, I don't know if I pulled up stats. Oopsie poopsie. It doesn't matter. This one isn't one of those stat ones that you need to know. But if we can see here, his only loss in the UFC is to Islam Makhachev. So that's in being on a 5-fight win streak since then. I think, rightfully so, he belongs in the rankings, which is good. And I think going forward, being OAM, Davi Ramos, Matt Frivola, Christos Giagos, and now Joel Alvarez, I think let's see. Joel Alvarez wasn't ranked. But I'm trying to figure out who's around him. Oh, boy. Mateus Gamrot might be the next fight for him. Maybe Brad Riddell. He was ranked 13 before this week. I don't know how he moves up after that. Maybe he moves to 12. Maybe they change spots. I don't know why he would move up beating an unranked opponent like that. Maybe he could. But anyway, Mateus Gamrot would be a good fight. Dan Hooker fight, they're not that far away from each other in the rankings, but I feel like the distance to the title for Dan Hooker is one fight. I feel like he really only needs to win one just because he's been such a monster. Yeah, I mean, Gamrot's probably the way to go. Yeah, Fiziv's already got a fight with Dos Anjos, so. And nobody's fighting Conor McGregor. We can all look at the rankings and see that he's number 9. No one's fucking fighting him. Like, it's not happening. That ranking means nothing. If you ever want a reason to think that rankings mean absolutely nothing, just look at Conor McGregor's and what happens next for him. All right, so another Armin fought before this. Armin Petrosyan versus Gregory Rodrigues. This fight was pretty interesting. Lots of output from both men here. This was... Let's see. Oh, also the nicknames. Robocop versus Superman, so that was fun. Rodrigues was taking the center of the octagon early, landing some big right hands, and they kept landing, so he kept throwing them. They're both kind of staying in the pocket and throwing pretty hard, both landing good shots. I mean, we can see here, Petrosyan far outlanded Rodrigues, 41-18. Petrosyan with way more leg kicks, though. He was... Look at this split, 39, 29, 30 percentage land by target. So 39 to the head, 29 to the body, and 30 to the legs. Mixing it up very well, whereas Rodrigues was mainly going after the head, and you can see that in the percentages here, but also if you go back and watch the fight, he was pretty much only going up top. So Petrosyan had like way more kicks in this fight in general, and he was going to the legs early, trying to slow him down, do some damage to the base. And there was a fast start from Rodrigues, but Petrosyan with more cumulative damage I had in the first round, and I think the striking numbers do play that out. You know, leg kicks do count for something. They do, right? That's... I was just thinking of Mighty Mouse Johnson versus Henry Cejudo, the second one, where he's like, these judges don't know how to score leg kicks. Let me go kick them in the leg. That's the kind of shit that I'm talking about when I think leg kicks count. I think they count a hell of a lot more than a jab with the amount of damage that they do, right? Just damage for damage. And here's a great comparison. How many fights have we seen stopped with a jab? Okay, with how many jabs like we see, right? How many jabs do we see thrown and landed in the UFC or in MMA in general? We're talking about thousands and thousands every year. Okay, the sample size is huge. Okay, and how many knockouts are we seeing from a jab? Not from a combo. Very few. Knockdowns, maybe a couple. Okay, we've seen people with a very stiff jab knocking people down. But finishes, very unlikely. We've probably seen a couple of them, maybe at heavyweight too, especially. But how many finishes and how many knockdowns have we seen from leg kicks? And there aren't as many. Yes, there might also be hundreds and hundreds of leg kicks, but I think it pales in comparison to the amount of jabs that are landed. Okay, and the amount of damage that are done by each single one, I think, is far greater. Okay, and so either way, if you want to say, oh, leg kicks, there's not a lot of finishes by leg kicks, and well, there's like none or no finishes by jab either. Okay, so they're even on that. But there's also way more jabs that are thrown, so if one of them was going to finish it, you would figure it would be the jab. Whereas leg kicks, less of them are thrown, but they are thrown with more force, and they do a lot of damage. So I think they count for more, and that's why I gave this first round to Petrosyan. He just landed a shitload of damage. And yes, not all kicks and not all punches are created equal, right? People kick with more force than some other people. I get it. But anyway, I gave him the first round. there were some three big right hands from Rodrigues putting the damage on Petrosyan early in the second round, walking him down and getting him against the cage. But then Arman seemed to hurt Rodrigues in close for the first time, and then Rodrigues was backing up, which was unusual because he spent the whole first round walking forward. And then another left hook from Arman at the end of an exchange rocked Rodrigues at about 2:15. Rodrigues got taken down at 50 seconds, but he got right back up with no damage. Round 2 was close, but the fact that Rodrigues got rocked twice and that Arman outlanded him significantly, I might add, 35-24, I would give him that round as well. So I had him up 2018. So nice kick to the nuts from Arman Tsarukyan. Good job to start the third round. Right to the breadbasket. Breadbasket's his stomach, but whatever. Family jewels. Rodrigues was moving forward and caught him with a head kick. And, dude, this was nuts. So Rodrigues caught Tsarukyan right on the bridge of the nose with a head kick and like cut him open, and he was bleeding. Dude, he was rocked hard, and Tsarukyan just kept working. Or sorry, not Tsarukyan. He was the other Arman. Petrosyan just got back up. Rodrigues got on top on the ground too, and then after a few submission attempts, Arman got back up. I was about to say Tsarukyan again. Petrosyan was moving forward, throwing everything out there. And Rodrigues was kind of looking tired near the middle, the waning minutes of this round. So in the last minute 30, and if you go back and watch this, Rodrigues was pretty reserved on his grappling, and I think this might be why is grappling tires him out. You know, the announcers were kind of talking about how it's weird that he's not going for grappling. Why I don't understand why it surprises people. People say this all the time. You hear it. The commentators say it all the time. You know, why doesn't he use his grappling? How come he's not wrestling? Shouldn't he be wrestling? His coaches are telling him to wrestle. And then he goes and wrestles, and he stands up, and he's exhausted. That's why. Okay? You know, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying you should be exhausted after one grappling exchange. What I'm saying is that's why. Don't ask the question. Okay? The answer's right in front of you. You don't need to ask the question. All right. In that third round... that was the other thing. Rodrigues went for a takedown and then ate a knee from Arman, pushing forward. This was the last 13 seconds, so there wasn't a ton of damage that Petrosyan got to land. Damn it! No, Petrosyan. There wasn't a ton of damage that Petrosyan got to land at the end of this fight, but he did quite a bit with that knee and that rock. He outlanded him. I mean, you want to look at the total numbers again, even in this third round, 51-19. He outlanded him. I just think Rodrigues was closest to finishing that fight, and he did a ton of damage with that one. I probably gave that last round to Rodrigues, but I'm okay if you gave it to Petrosyan as well. And that's what we saw here. With two of the judges seeing it the right way. Doug Crosby's a ding-dong. I don't know what round he gave to Rodrigues other than the third one. But Tony Weeks, he got it right, which is nice, and Mike Bell. All right, Ignacio. So now we're getting to some of the up-and-comer, one of the other up-and-comers, exciting prospects here. There's two more that I want to really, two more that I really want to talk about here. So Ignacio Bahamondes, crazy good fight for him. Looked amazing against Rong Zhu. Zhu also missed weight by 4 pounds. I was going to say 10 pounds. This was a lightweight fight, but Zhu weighed in at 160, so what the fuck? That's way off, and this is his third time missing weight. Not cool. Also, he's not the most shredded individual, so he's just carrying around extra weight and that he has to cut. Not a good look. I don't like that shit. I really don't. For those of you out there who think I'm being hard on fighters who need to cut weight, I have cut weight before. I do understand it's difficult. I'm not trying to downplay the difficulty or say that what they're doing isn't, important or hard or whatever. I'm not trying to put them down specifically just because they're cutting weight or their body type or whatever. It's all of the factors and all these variables that add up to someone missing weight. So he fights at 155. He knows he's fighting at 155. It was not a short notice fight, although I don't like when you do that anyway. He's not a shredded individual. So also for those of you guys out there who have never cut weight before, body fat and water are easier to cut in a short time than muscle is. Like it's more difficult. I mean, it's not, you have to be in a calorie deficit regardless. Okay. You can actually measure out exactly, well, pretty close to like the calories you're taking in and try to measure your calorie output, right? And then you can slowly lose the weight as you go on. But generally speaking, if you are a leaner individual, it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder for you to like remove anything off of your body and still be feel effective, right? Because you're effectively losing strength. You know, cutting fat off your body, it's not an active part of the musculoskeletal system. It doesn't make you stronger, right? So losing fat isn't going to change your overall strength. I understand that people who have bigger chests and bellies can lift more weight in certain lifts. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like effectiveness in the octagon, right? Like you don't have to be a jacked, giant bodybuilder looking dude, and you don't have to be a shredded guy. But if you miss weight, and that's what I'm saying, right? Those factors, you don't have to look a certain way to be a fighter. And you don't have to cut weight beforehand and lose it all. Or sorry, you don't have to slowly lose weight leading up to the fight if you can manage your water and whatever. All these factors play in, but he isn't a shredded guy. He isn't super lean. Like he's got a little bit of body fat on him, a little pudge. Right? He's not a fat guy. He's in great shape. Obviously, he's a professional fighter and he's in good shape. But there's body fat that he has on him that he could have cut leading up to this, and he chose not to. And then he also didn't cut enough water to make weight, and he also just like in this fight, he's like shaking off like these punches. Dude, look at the striking totals here. 42-9. 42-9. And I would say about 50% of those punches that landed, Zhu was just like, what? Nothing. Doing his best impression of Paulo Costa. Not someone you want to emulate, dude. That first round, so, I mean, we can break it down a little bit. Ignacio ended up getting the submission in the third round, which was great to see the guy who didn't miss weight get the win here. Ignacio kept the range really well with stabbing kicks and jabs, and dude, Zhu didn't even really touch him in that first round. He landed like one good hook. And he went for a takedown. Zhu went for a takedown and got stuck in a guillotine from Bahamondes, so that was pretty cool. Easy round for Bahamondes. Rung moving forward and landing some big shots in the second round, though. Got more aggressive, still moving forward. He was moving forward and doing a lot better in the second round, but Bahamondes' jab just did so much good work, outlanding him 60-31. Not even close. That second round, like there's no argument here. Easy round for Ignacio in that one. And then in the third round, Zhu went for a frickin' a lazy takedown and ended up getting submitted. Dude, was it a guillotine though? I don't know if that's a guillotine. Anyway, he ends up getting submitted. Dude, good. I would say good riddance, but he does have a win in the UFC. He's probably not going to get cut, although missing weight 3 times may get you cut. But he just whatever. I'm excited for Ignacio. I think he's made a big improvement since the loss to John Makdessi. I think that was a huge learning experience for him. And then when he came in and got that great, highlight reel spinning head kick over Roosevelt Roberts last year, and now this dominant performance over Rongju. It's time for a step up in competition now. I really do. John Makdessi, I think that was a bad fight for him. Because he was winning. He looked like really good in that fight until Makdessi just broke him. He just wouldn't go away and just kept wearing on him and, beat him down. So, good fight, though. All right, here was a shit show. This one was really sloppy. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I mean, we can pull up the numbers, but dude, it was so stupid. This fight was so bad. So, first of all, it's a female featherweight fight. Right? And these are not, again, I'm not going to body shame them, but these are not the most jacked individuals. So this is probably going to sound bad. Honestly, I had a thought while I was watching this. I'm like, the female featherweight division in the UFC is like the men's heavyweight division, but not even that good. What I mean by that is, with the generally speaking, the less depth of talent, depth of skill, the cardio issues, all the stuff that you have at male heavyweight, you see it in female featherweight. It's just not good. I don't like this division. I think it can go away. Right? I understand. I don't understand. I don't understand who's watching these fights. I don't. Most of the fights that happen at featherweight are bantamweights that want to go up or not cut weight for a fight, or they want to go up and take on Nunes for that belt instead. I don't know, but most of the fights that have happened at featherweight haven't been with actual featherweights. This one was. Pascal's big. Anyway, Pascal looked like crap. The first round was relatively close as far as the striking goes. I took some notes, but I stopped. I was like, I just wrote down, like, this looks so sloppy, because it was. Pascal was looking for leg kicks and stuff. They're big swings from both women. Not a lot of hitting, not a lot landing. But, in the second round, Nunes started landing more and dropped her. And in the third round, more of this, like, just sloppiness, man. It looked like crap. It was not a fun. I don't recommend watching that fight. You can skip it. You're not going to miss much. I talked about it way too long. All right, this is one I do want to talk about, though. All right, Terrence McKinney, who had his UFC debut last year, or was it 2 years ago? Was it 2020? No, it was 2021. So his UFC debut was against Matt Frivola and getting a 7-second knockout, which ultra impressive, super cool. And then this fight taken on for Ziam, who is, I don't know. People really, they talk about his striking and all this cool shit, but he's a decision machine, and even that, he's not even a good decision machine. He's doesn't throw a lot. He's super reserved. He plays way too safe in there, and he doesn't have the skill level that far exceeds his opponents, so he can't effectively, land without them landing in an entertaining way. I mean, if you want to look at the epitome of that, we're talking about like Anderson Silva, who I guess you could say he wasn't playing it safe because he was putting himself, but I think for his skill set, I think he was playing it safe. Not in a bad way. I just mean like he was taking the path of least resistance for him, and it just so happened to be that getting in your opponent's head and knowing where they're going to be allowed him to make a lot of reads, and that he's just a skill that he had that nobody else, I don't know if anybody else has really had. So with Ziam, like I don't know if he has that skill and he just isn't willing to put himself in the position to even come close to getting hit or whatever, but he's a super boring fighter to watch. So it was really cool to watch Terrence go in there and just fucking smoke him. Holy shit. There was a weird exchange in the beginning. They like rolled around and like whatever. And this happened about 4:45, so 15 seconds into the fight. And then McKinney gets the back, and gets the rear naked choke, and the commentators are saying like, oh, it's not really in, like I don't think he's gonna, and then Ziam taps. So holy shit, this kid is the real deal. He is, man. He is good. If there's Paddy Pimblett, who also had his debut last year. I think McKinney took not offense to that because of all the attention that Paddy Pimblett got, but I think McKinney is as legit as Pimblett is. It's just he doesn't have the name recognition, and he's not coming from Cage Warriors where he's a champion or whatever. So, dude, this kid is a real fucking deal. He is good, man. We haven't even seen him like really utilize a ton of wrestling yet, and that's his shit. He's got the good base. Great dude. It's gonna be fun watching him fight going forward. I'm excited. The kid is awesome. All right. Alejandro Perez versus Jonathan Martinez. Martinez getting the win here via decision. They're exchanging leg kicks early, but Martinez was getting the better of it. So Martinez is a very kick-heavy fighter, and he outlanded Perez in the first round. I think he did a very good job keeping the distance until the last second of the first round, in which he got caught by a right hand. And then I think he was off balance, and that's why he got dropped, but didn't look good. So, but first round, I still gave to Martinez. He did a lot of damage in that first round with those kicks. So that good distance management for the most part up until the very last, literally the last second. So I gave him that first round 10-9. So the second round was kicking at distance for Martinez, and I thought he did more damage. I didn't know if Perez really did any damage until like the end of that round, and he was chasing him around. So I guess some of those must have put him ahead 18-17. I had it for Martinez, but being how close these striking numbers are, maybe Perez did more damage because he did land like 2 good shots in that last little sequence right before the end of the round. So I wouldn't be mad if you gave Perez that second round. And then third round, with Martinez with his highest output of the entire fight in the final round. And that's because Perez was more aggressive early on. He was moving forward, trying to get in there, but Martinez was shutting him down, just outlanding him. For every 2 that Perez threw, Martinez landed 3. And he did a great job kind of managing risk in that third round while still being entertaining and hitting hard. Fun fighter, and I'm excited to see him going forward. I said that about the last guy. All right. Ramiz Brahimaj versus Michael Gilmore. Nothing to talk about. Brahima with the takedown and took the back and got the submission. So he took him down at 425. Nothing happened, and then he finally got the submission. There was some grappling exchange, and yeah, like they rotated around. And he tried to get up, whatever. And there was he got the rear naked. Yeah, rear naked at 258. And the very first fight of the card. So Altamirano versus Hernandez. Victor Altamirano versus Carlos Hernandez. Fun fight. If you want to look at this, so it was a fun fight, and every single round I was watching, I had it, dude. It was, I was scoring it live, and I had it even in almost every round. So in the first round, I gave it to Altamirano because he had. Oh no, I didn't. No, I didn't. There was back and forth damage, and Altamirano had pressure the entire time, but Hernandez got the takedown at 115 and held him down for a minute, and I think he did enough damage to make that takedown worth it, but he also did the same amount of damage during the round, so I gave him that first round. Second round, dude, it was so close. I mean, I don't know. The takedown might have been the difference maker for that one. It was so freaking close. I don't even know. That one was hard to judge live. It really was. I haven't gone back and watched it, and I don't think I am. But 27-26, and you watch this fight, like they're dead even on damage pretty much. So I mean, you want to give this round also to Hernandez for getting that takedown, sure. I mean, I'm not mad at that one. And then the same thing in the third round. Look at these striking numbers, 33-33. And here's, guys, I've brought this up multiple times about how striking percentage doesn't matter in terms of winning a round based off being more accurate. Okay? And here's why. Look at this. So in this round, Altamirano, they're basically even. Let's say it's 27-26, and if you go back and watch, I mean, the damage is 1-for-1. But Hernandez threw 8 more significant strikes that he missed, right? He attempted 8 more. So, yeah, he hit at a lower percentage, but he had more offense. That goes in his favor. Same in the first round. He landed less. He landed more, but, okay, third round's the best example of this. 33 of 55 for 60%, 33 of 66 for 50%. So Hernandez, the less effective striker as far as percentage, but because he was throwing more, that's more offense, and therefore I would give him that round as well. All other things being equal. Control time, damage, whatever. Hernandez was throwing more. He had more offense. Defense only counts for defense in itself. The defense is its reward. Defense is not, you don't get points for defense. Okay? So, Hernandez got the win. I agree with it. It was really close, right, when you're watching it, but looking at these numbers now, seeing that he attempted that many more, I would give it to him. So, all right. That is it. We are done. Cool. If you guys made it this far, that's freaking awesome. Can't believe it. Thank you so much. I love you. I really do. Thank you. It means a lot to me that you guys listen all the way through. It's good for the YouTube algorithms and my watch time, which is all that matters now. I really appreciate it. So if you've made it this far, please like, subscribe. I do this every single week. I do every single UFC card. And when there's not a UFC card, I do something else. Sometimes I'll even do more than one of these a week. But every single Sunday, I put one of these videos out. And I break down fights. I put my scorecards out there. I do all that stuff because I love talking about MMA. So if you love listening to MMA and interacting, please comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what you thought about the fights. If you want to talk about other fights, upcoming fights, my opinions, your opinions, all that stuff. I'm interested. I want to engage. All that stuff's cool. Please do that. Yeah, that's it. And like I said, that t-shirt thing is active. Like that contest will be active until we hit that goal. Until we get 100 likes on a damn video. Okay? The first video that gets 100 likes, I'm going to pick a subscriber and I'm going to get you a shirt. It's going to be random, so but I will do that. I'm not Dylan Dennis. I'm going to give something away, god dang it. All right. Again, thank you so much for making it this far. It means a lot to me. It really does. So I hope you guys all have an amazing week. Later.